Hello. We're looking in your Pre-Cal Part 2 textbook at Lesson 8.3, which is Matrix Operations. This example 7 is found on page 835. And what we're doing here is that we are multiplying matrices. Now, on one of the previous videos, we talked about adding and subtracting matrices. Multiplying matrices is a whole different ballgame. You have to know the dimensions of your matrix. So when we look at the first matrix here, this one right here, that matrix is a 2 by 2. This matrix here, the second one, that here, again, it's always rows and columns. So this one is a 2 by 4 matrix. Now, I want you to look down here because this is what you have to do, whether you do it in your head or you write it out. The first matrix we said was a 2 by 2. The second matrix we said was a 2 by 4. In order to be able to multiply matrices together, the inside dimensions have to match, which are these and these, as you can see here. They must match. Okay? If they don't, then they cannot be multiplied together. So the inside dimensions must match. If they do, then what they want you to see by here is the outside dimensions is what the answer is going to be. So this is going to end up being a 2 by 4. If you multiply a 2 by 2 by a 2 by 4, you're going to get a 2 by 4 as your final outcome. Now, the way that you multiply matrices together is that you multiply the rows by the columns. I know that sounds crazy and it feels a little strange at first, but mathematically that's what has to happen to be able to multiply these together. So you're going to multiply the rows from left to right while you're at the same time multiplying the columns from top to bottom. I usually use kind of my finger to kind of guide me through this. So the first, we know that it's going to end up being again a 2 by 4, which is 2 rows but 4 columns. So in the row 1, column 1, you're literally going to multiply row 1 by column 1. That's the way to do it. If you know this is row 1, column 1, then you're going to multiply row 1 by column 1, and you're going to then add those two products together to get your final answer. So that would be 4 times 1, but then it would also be 2 times 0, as you can see shown here. So 4 times 1 plus 2 times 0 ends up being 4 plus 0, or just 4. Now, if I move to this one right here, this is actually row 1 erase this. This particular space right here, the second space here, where the 12 ends up being, that's actually row 1 but column 2. So that means I'm going to multiply row 1 by column 2 this time. So it's going to be 4 times 2, as you can see here, plus 2 times 2. Because I multiplied from left to right and top to bottom, and then I add those together. So 4 times 2 plus 2 times 2, that ends up being 8 plus 4, which, as you can see down here, ultimately gives you 12. And you would continue on doing that. This is actually row 1, column 3. So you're going to mark that out, and you're going to multiply row 1 by column 3. So that's going to be 4 times 3, as you can see here, plus 2 times negative 1, which you can see here. That's really 12 plus negative 2, which ends up being 10, and that's why 10 ends up being in there. Say we pick that one right here, that I'm circling here, the 8. Well, that is actually row 2, column 2. So that means that if I were going up here, I would be multiplying row 2 by column 2 to get my 8. And it would be this one right here. And so you're going to multiply again, left to right, top to bottom. So you're going to multiply the 1 times the 2, but you're also going to multiply the 3 times the 2, and you're going to add those together. So 1 times 2 is 2, and 3 times 2 is 6, and 2 plus 6 is how we end up with the 8. Okay. Now, there is kind of a meaning to the madness, believe it or not, and you have to kind of get used to multiplying rows by columns. I don't know how to stress this enough, but that's the key to multiplying matrices together, is that you must multiply the rows by the columns. And when you multiply those and add them together, that ends up being the number for that space. So, if we look at part B, this matrix right here is a 2 by 4, as you can see listed right here. This matrix is a 2 by 2, as you can see here. When we check the two inside dimensions, and it's because you're multiplying rows by columns is why you need to check that, but those are not the same. Okay, and these numbers must be the same or you can't multiply matrices. So since that one is a 4 and that one is a 2 and they are not the same, then we cannot multiply this matrix by this matrix. It's just impossible to do. Okay, it just can't be done. So there's no, we can't go any further with that. We can't do anything with it. I just wanted to show you one like that, because some matrix operations, you know, like for addition, they have to be the same size matrix, but for multiplication, the inside dimensions have to be the same in order for you to be able to multiply them together. Look over this problem carefully, or rewind and watch what I've done again, and try to get the hang of this. I know that multiplying can be tricky, but once you get the hang of it, it actually flows pretty smoothly. Hope this was helpful.